Hello! Welcome to The Healing Artist. I'm your host, Frida. And friends, today I have something extremely special for you. Get ready to get activated because joining us today we have Cinthia Varkevisser. With over 20 years of experience, Cinthia helps changemakers, empaths, BIPOC leaders, and industry pros trust their intuition, reclaim their energy, and lead with grounded clarity. Known for her no fluff, truth telling, ancestral insights, and transformative presence, she bridges strategic action with energetic alignment for both people and the spaces they inhabit. Welcome, Cinthia, to The Healing Artist.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to spend some time with you, Frida, honestly.
So, I want to share that Cynthia and I met maybe 5 or 6 years ago. No, further back. Oh my God. So, okay. So that's when you really started helping me. We have a story. So
Right.
Cynthia is a real estate agent
Hmm.
and an intuitive mystic
Yes.
and a channel
Yes.
and a light leader
Thank you.
and a spiritual warrior.
Thank you.
More things, name them, rattle them off.
I'm a house healer, space
Yes,
clearing, right? Yeah, fifth dimension, help with ancestral healing, intergenerational stuff, relationships.
podcaster.
Podcaster, forgot about podcaster, working on a book about house clearings and house healings. So yeah, a little bit of a jack of all trades, but I believe that when you work in the energetic field, you go where the energy goes, right? And so times have changed, and so your skills change and morph, evolve. And that doesn't mean you lose the things that you have in the past. You just get to add on. So it's always an and. And because I am an old biddy in the mystic arena,
Okay.
we get to add things on. Also, you when I started, it was in the early 90s, 1992
Hmm.
to be exact. Oof. So maybe 1993. And in that time, this is weird because it wasn't that long ago, but in the towns around us, we like to think that the Bay Area is really hip and happening and cool. It was still not cool to be a mystic in certain ways. You had to have a special license. There were times that in my favorite little town where I grew up, Concord, California, they didn't really like crystal shops at that time. So,
Hmm.
there were just a lot of things in Benicia at that time in the 90s, in the early aughts. You actually had to have a conversation with the chief of police before you could get your business license.
Yeah. Oh man. And like, look how expansive in sort of
Right,
a short period of time, even though it's a
right.
long period of time, but also a short period of time we've been able to get.
Right. It was the time coming, it's exponential. So the movement has been a long time. I mean, my teacher, my Swami Mommy, when she was learning in the 50s and 60s, the classes were kind of held in private.
Hmm.
And they didn't always happen because sometimes her teacher was in jail
Yeah.
for doing readings.
Yeah.
So
Now we've come a long way.
yeah, and just so you know, that's in California.
Yeah. Oh
It's
man.
not that long ago. I mean, for younger people, I remember being young going, "Oh, that's a really long time ago," but really it's not.
It isn't. I mean, not at all. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I am one generation away, so that would make you two generations away for hiding behind a minister's license in
Yeah.
order for you to practice your intuitive work, um, quote unquote, safely.
Yeah.
Because, right, if you were a minister, then you could go ahead and do these things under your under your fellowship.
Right, speaking in tongues and light language and that kind of thing is coming through. It just has a different, it's wrapped in something else, faith healing and all of these different things.
Exactly. But
Ooh, la la
just
la la la
yep,
la.
exactly.
Cynthia, you came into my life. My husband and I were in a tricky situation. All of a sudden, we couldn't live where we were living anymore. Your name fell into our lives, and all of a sudden, you were our real estate agent. And at this point, when I actually think about it, 14, 15, 16, 16 or 17 years ago,
Yeah.
which is
Isn't
mind-boggling.
that crazy?
Yeah, and we've come into and out of each other's lives like woo, 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 like over the
Right.
years, just sort of like flowing like water.
Right.
And Cynthia came into our lives, and my husband is not woo woo at all.
Oh,
But with Cynthia's amazing woo woo skills, being with reading the intuition, she was able to. It was a very tricky situation, and she navigated us through, honestly, like a miracle style home buying situation where we were able to get into a place within 60 days, which is hardly
that's
ever happens.
crazy. It's really crazy. And you got to be in a neighborhood that you liked,
Yes.
and that was really nice. The other thing that happened is I really didn't get to know you because it was holiday season, which was another crazy thing. So my most of my experience was with your husband,
Yes.
right? Because you
Yes.
had
Because I
your
was working like a dog.
crazy hours.
Yeah.
So I only got to see little bits of you,
And then when the pandemic hit, I got to know a different side of Cynthia because she opened up a morning meditation
right?
style community via Facebook and spent at least 6 months
Mhm.
meditating with a group of us for free online. And my God, it changed my life.
Yeah, you took off. It was really
Hmm.
beautiful. That during the pandemic, something happened within me. What happened? Well, there were, I do martial arts as well. I forgot to put that on the caption.
Yes.
That martial artist. And our martial arts community, they had this really crazy thing happen. These kids in our program, they had family members that were getting sick, and they had parents that were so stressed out. And here are these kids, that they're holding stress, but they really don't have words to it. And I felt the call to action. So it actually started as a kids meditation, believe it or not, to help with the school. So a lot of people in martial arts community, in my martial arts community, are teachers, and I could hear how stressed out they were. I was also on the board of a charter school, and I could see how stressed out they were. So I thought, well, if I could get them online, I started an hour a day that for 1 hour, the parents could not have to worry about the kids. The kids could, we could play imagination games or whatever, and just kind of sit down. And it was probably the best time of my life because I got to hear just how stressed out the kids were without
Mhm.
really knowing. I had one kid at that time, I think was 10 years old, had both parents were doctors, and so they weren't seeing their parents very much, and they had a family member that was failing through COVID and these things. So once that happened, then with the kids, some of the parents started joining in on the classes, and as well as a couple of the teachers. And then I expanded it out very quickly to the greater community,
Mhm.
which was you. I don't
Mhm.
even know how. I think I just happened to say it to you, or
I saw
somehow
a Facebook post.
that would happen.
I saw a Facebook post. I had been curious about meditation in the past. I know that my spiritual journey has been in and out, but
Mhm.
I've always wanted to spend more time with the meditation process. Now I don't have to go to work. It was like one of those things where, I used to work 60, 80 hours a week or sometimes 40 hours a week, but it would be like these crazy periods of time with that.
Right.
And actually getting to pull back and feel like, well, who's Frida and what does she feel like? Because I was so broken apart and all over the place, I didn't even know who I was.
Right.
And you
It
were
was an
like that.
amazing time.
Oof.
Right.
You were
You
that
were,
beginning activator that was like, and now this. And I was like, I
you
couldn't
were,
get enough.
yeah. Yeah. And it was just really beautiful to have these moments of just, because of that, I remembered all these different meditations from all these years.
Hmm.
So it was fun to do these my favorite were the walking meditations,
Me too.
right? And then we would take pictures afterwards. And I love that you end up doing the thing that I had wanted to do, but just couldn't get the follow-up and to do a deck out of it, an oracle deck.
Yeah, doors.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah,
Love it.
it was just a really good process. So just to share with the listeners a little bit more, Fridays were walking meditation. So each day of the week, 5 days a week, Cynthia would meditate with us and lead a meditation, and each time it was different. But
Mhm.
Fridays were always walking meditation. So we had Zoom on our smartphones. We'd go outside, we'd get to know each other with the community aspect. We'd walk fast for 10 minutes. We would turn off our cameras and then have a silent meditation. And from the fast walking, we would move into one little foot in front of the other little foot in front of the other little foot and just slowly go around and then see, truly sink in and see our environments. And that is one of the things that just changed my life.
Right.
I started taking photos on my cell phone and came up with a whole bunch of cell phone photography from that. I mean, and when during that time when all of us felt like we were drowning, you were like in the middle of the water, this little bobbing up and down, like, come on, guys, it's okay. I got a flotilla. Come on over. It's all right. Like I could always return to that, always come back to it. And it was perfect for the period of time. It was such a generous gift.
Oh, thank you. The part that was interesting to me was everybody, I wouldn't say they started disappearing from the meditations, but you could tell that they didn't need the meditations
Mm,
with me as much anymore. And so I was a little bit sad because I was like, oh, people don't love me. That was so not true. What happened was everybody found their way in a
mhm,
certain way. And it was so beautiful to see, watching you take off and start doing your art projects in a different way and claiming your space. I mean,
mhm,
really claiming your space was incredible. There's a another woman who took off and she changed the way she did work,
mm,
which was very important because she ended up having brain cancer and
mm.
passed away. So it was an incredible step for her to have these moments so that she actually left with such grace. I mean, that I believe that that was part of her, but she had these practices as well. So
Yeah.
it was amazing. And of course, you can't never go wrong with community, having community.
No, it's about not feeling so alone.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah. And then we're contributing as well as having a space to ask for help.
Yeah. Yeah. To be seen and to see and be seen, it is a really I think that we are so individualized in America and like everyone has such separation that when you experience that in a positive way, where you held the space so beautifully and you hold space so beautifully to come to that and then feel recognized and seen and it's a gift. And sometimes I feel like people don't have that until they have it and can and actually experience it.
Right.
Mhm.
And the cool part about it is once you experience it, you can't undo it.
No, and it makes you want to pay it for it. It makes you want to do it more.
Right.
It makes you
Right.
want to go into the world and what can you give? How can you share? How can you hold space for others?
Exactly. Exactly. And once you hold space for others, what what an incredible feeling that is, you know?
Yeah.
And then holding space for others, then you come to witnessing. And
Mhm.
to me, that's the witnessing is the most amazing and the most trying thing to watch people when as a human being you feel like you have the answer that you can alleviate something, but that's not our place. That's not our place as these spiritual beings, right? There's a time that we share energy, there's a time that we hold space, and then there's a time where we just stand back and just witness and just go, wow, that's fucking incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or God, that's painful.
Yeah. Yeah. Because each one of us, we can't live each other's lessons for each other. We have
No.
to go through the lessons and walk through the fire ourselves to come out the other side. In
Yeah.
actually, as like a recovering codependent, and this is the new era of recovering codependent Frida, recovering people
Nice.
pleaser, because you knew me when I was in the thick of
Yes.
it. Yeah. Um, a way that I actually came to let those reins down and release that, like, ooh, to exhale it was I am doing the other person a disservice
Right.
to not allow, I can hold space for them, I can listen, but to step in and to do the thing or to give the answer, I can't do that for someone
Right.
else. Like it is doing them a disservice because they need to have that experience and come to that on their own.
Right.
Yeah.
I believe what's happening right now, especially with a lot of parents, is there's a lot of fear in having these your kids experience these pains.
Mhm.
And I mean, getting your knee scraped is natural. I mean, that's part of the walking experience.
Yeah.
And so I'm not saying I had a great upbringing because, we were on the other side of it, which is don't talk about it, not even stiff upper lip. I can't even remember because that's a nice way of saying stuff, right? But there is a time where it's important for you to really witness the people that you love go through their thing
Hmm.
and let them get their own scars, you
Hmm.
know, and that's your reminder of the thing that you moved through and won,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Other, Otherwise, you'd be doing it and doing it. But
It's really interesting to think that way about also just sort of riffing off of what you're saying is like when I was growing up, when you were growing up, slightly different eras, but simultaneously, like there were more things that were coming like from the home, whereas like the kids now have so much like external
Mhm.
input, like they're seeing all the stuff that they can get just in their pocket.
Right,
There's like all of this information coming at them, and then also just the collective trauma of children with the gun violence and everything else. It's kind of crazy. Like there's a shift there. There's a shift in the consciousness. It's almost like knocking against the door of like we have to change things. We need to do things differently. These because the kids that are coming up now really have a different experience in terms of what they're going through because they're collectively
right.
traumatized.
It's incredible. It's incredible. And they're already coming in more sensitive,
Yeah.
right? Because that's the vibration. So they're coming in more sensitive, and then they have this bombardment of information, stimulation, different kinds of stimulation, where, I remember if we were too rambunctious, the thing that my family would say is go outside,
Yeah.
right? Don't come back until the lights go on,
Hmm.
right? When the street lights go on, then we would get the whistle, wee
Yep.
wee, and you're like, oh, gotta go back home, right? Otherwise, you're gonna get in
Hmm.
trouble. So we don't have that. There's it doesn't feel safe anymore for these parents to allow the kids, maybe some, but it's just not the experience that I get to witness with the community that I'm in. And
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty, right? I think it's a pretty cool community. Um, and then you do have all that information in your pocket.
Hmm.
And so much of that information, I'm not saying that we were protected from, but there was a time for news. There was a time for all these things.
That's it. Yeah, like the
You know?
news is at 6 o'clock, and that might
Right.
be turned on during dinner, or the news was in the morning, or the news is in the newspaper.
Right.
But the kids
Exactly.
we're bombarded with it. So like
Right.
when as an adult, we have a chance to have the cognitive understanding that you can move away, or I am going to disconnect from this. But like,
Right.
I how kids are just I would imagine they're bombarded. I mean, I don't know. We're childless by choice because I can't handle it, you know?
Right. 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 And I'm right. My kids are fully grown and having their experiences. But I do get to see that in the community, and I get to see the worry that's in there and the stress that they have and the amount of information they have for the person they want to become
Yeah.
as teenagers. So they have incredibly structured schedules, and
Hmm.
their schedules are nothing like, I thought my kids were overscheduled and they're 33,
Yeah.
right? And now I'm looking and these kids are like so scheduled. So it's like, where's the boredom, you
Right.
know?
Right. Yeah.
The boredom. Um, because out of boredom comes creativity, right?
Absolutely. I mean, and out of that pause and the silence, that's when we can hear spirit.
Right,
That's out of the quiet.
right. Which, a lot of people are afraid to hear. So, well, let me be frank about this. People are always listening to that voice,
Yeah.
right? But it's prioritized. And this is where I like to live. It's prioritized. So a lot of people, they know that they're intuitive and they'll have a conversation with their intuition and then their logic voice comes and then their logic and their intuition and, the person, they're having this conversation and then there's a priority. And usually logic wins out, right? Because that's the way that we've been taught. Logic wins out.
Right.
And so the voice gets quieter and quieter. Doesn't mean that it never gets listened to, but it doesn't take it's not in the forefront as it could be,
Right.
right?
Just thinking back, because it's closer to my experience, was just sort of like I had to unlearn the logical mind. I
Exactly.
told it to take a hike and have it sit down here. It sits in my feet or below the chakras. It just sits down here. And it comes in when I got to do something like put my credit card in and pump gas. Like the
Right.
logical mind comes in to do tasks that we need to do. Tasks. I need to know how to read this recipe or whatever. But
Right.
otherwise, I'm like, you could take a hike. You got nothing to say. Or I run a mantra. I have it run a mantra. So it's like, do that.
Right. I love that. And so what happens is when your creativity and when your intuition and your logic are in sync, that's where all these beautiful things happen because then your intuition can say, okay, this is what's happening to this person,
Mhm.
right? And then your channel is saying, but that's not for you to touch,
Right.
right? And then your logic comes in and says, okay, I can either get off the phone, say I've got to leave, just be quiet. It's this great conversation. And then logic will also say when I'm in the car, red light, right?
Yes.
I'm in
Yes.
the right turn lane. And the
Yes.
intuition will say, don't turn right just yet because there's someone who's gonna run that red light.
Yeah.
Great conversation to have.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
really respect the fact that you hold a lot of space and you hold space in places where there isn't a ton of woo. Like you are out there holding space on the front lines.
Oh, I'm glad. Thank you for saying it that way.
I feel that, where it's like, yeah, we're not in the ashram. You're not like running up to the top of the mountain. You're holding space in a lot of business transactions. You're holding space with both your body and your spiritual body with people as they transition and make transactions that are some of the biggest things in their life in real estate, holding these young people with the martial arts and different communities. And I know it's in there, it's all mixed in, it is who you are, but yeah, I think of you as a frontlines person
Thank you. Thank
in the
you.
mix.
Yeah, I like to think of myself as the weird, fun science guy with the crazy lab coat because everything is experiential, right? So let's play this game because I like to gamify this stuff. I'm like, let's play this game and see what happens. And then I'm not a bully, but I will do whatever I can to get you to do the thing that you do. And then let's record this experience. Let's see
Right.
what this is, right? Um, and so I don't think of it as frontline. I do think of it as very kooky and crazy.
Hmm.
The mad scientist or the crazy uncle that says, "Hey, let's do this thing that may not appear so unsafe, but trust me, I got you, and
Hmm.
we're gonna have a good time while we freak each other out."
Yes to all of that. Y- Your willingness, though, like you're working with people and waking them up.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't. I'm like you 5 years into your journey. Come hang out with me. I'm here for the teachers, if that makes
Right.
sense. I'm
No, that
like,
totally makes sense. No, that's awesome. I think it's fantastic.
you're like You can be here for the teachers too, but you're out there waking people up. Like having that shift in perspective to like help them like even just think of their lives differently.
Right.
To that
Well,
there is an awareness. There's an opening. There's something there. There's more.
Well, thank you. And yes, and the truth is it's not so altruistic because I call it my get off. And that's my get off. My get off is when
Oh
you see
yeah.
that transition, right? And I'm like, yay! Right? I don't need ice cream today because I saw that.
Well, and
Right?
I've had readings with you, and like it took 6 months for the get off
Right.
because
Well,
you're so fast too. You'll get in there and you see stuff, and it's just like I won't even understand what you said for 6 months.
you say that, and I won't completely agree with you because it takes something to unlock something to unlock something. So you can say it was 6 months for me to get the get off, but it was
Oh, the
for
result.
some, yeah, that's just a result.
The
But
ultras,
every
oh, the
shift,
understanding, the
yeah,
understanding. But right, the key has been in the hole. It's been unlocked, but then it'll take like time for it to
yeah. I
come
mean,
in.
do you know how many times that you've actually turned the key? It's like you turn the it's like the opposite of going from a big door down to the little door. It's not a Russian
Yes,
doll, it's the other way, where
yes.
you're opening up. So you've opened up every time we would see each other, you really did open up a door. And I was super happy
Hmm.
because I'm like, look, shift, shift,
Right.
shift, shift. And then you were doing something that was absolutely huge, but it really wasn't absolutely huge in my space because the really brave thing is the thing that you did way back there.
Yeah, yeah. And just
Everything else.
the willingness to go within, the willingness for the curiosity to make the change and to clean up my side of the street.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Huge.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, the big stuff is amazing because we get to do like really big celebrations. The day that you started working on your own,
Yeah.
I was like, holy fuck,
Yeah.
right? Holy fuck. But to do that, there had to be like these conversations and these exercises and things that you needed to experience. Each one I celebrated because,
Yeah.
those were big deals.
Agreed,
Big
agreed.
deals.
I want
Yeah.
to share more of Cynthia's gifts here. Just also with, so she helped Corey and I get our first house. Then she helped us sell that house and
Yeah.
get into our bigger house that we wanted at that time. And like, so she also helped us through that transformative process. And then one of the coolest things in the world was doing the energy clearing and getting my non-woo-woo husband in on it, shaking a rattle and also pouring rice and salt. But to come in and help shift the energy in the home to welcome us into it.
Right.
So
That was a lot of fun.
it was so fun. I would love for you to talk a little bit about house clearings because she is amazing. Get her into your space. That's all I have to say if you're in the Bay Area.
I love it. Oh, it doesn't matter. So tons of stories. Um, the thing that I love about house healing, space clearings is, you're walking into a space that is going to be yours, but it's been around for decades,
Yes.
right? Even if you have a brand new home, the energy of the people who built that home are in there. So, what's really important is that you walk in to a healthy relationship. You like the look of the house, you like all these things, and you spent all this money. That doesn't mean that you come into full agreement energetically with your house,
Right.
right? So so what I'm doing is I'm helping you create an agreement with your home, right? Because you're saying, this is what I want in my bedroom, right? And I know that I don't have that. We haven't had that all the time in our bedroom, but this is what I want. And so we shift the energy of the space to hold that energy. And it's saying, I'm going to hold that energy for you, and we're going to imprint it with that energy, and I'll feed it back. However, you've got to feed me in order for it to feed back.
Hmm.
And so what you're saying is, house, I love you and I love the space so much. This is what I'm going to do and go back. Sometimes there are other energies or entities that we need to um, have agreements with. Yeah, well, some of them stay because they agree to be in alignment. Some of
Hmm.
them move, and then some of them get portaled. So, and I've yet to, knock on wood, have to portal someone that didn't want to be portaled.
Hmm.
Okay, so there's that. So that's what I'm doing when we have you move into the house, right?
Hmm.
And so as a client, I do not consider escrow closed, that the transaction is closed until we actually do the house blessing.
Yes.
If that's what you want,
Yeah.
because then it's your home, right?
Hmm.
On the other side, a lot of times, it's not usually my listings, but other people's listings, their house has anxieties in it.
Yes.
Selling a house is hard. It's
Yeah.
stressful. It's not always, sometimes it's from a divorce or things like that. So what I do is I go in and I release the energy that is not conducive to the a welcoming of another person, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know you've got into a house where you're like, ooh, don't feel comfortable, not welcome.
Yeah, there's actually, it was super fun when like I know that it was a stressful time, but I really enjoyed actually looking at all the different houses and going into them because it is
Right.
kind of fun to get to read the energy in the different homes. It's
Exactly.
fun. And then finding the homes that had a little special somebody in there, you're like, "Ooh, I feel you in here." And
Right, right, right. It's like, yeah, there was one where it was a very angry teenage girl energy that
oh
was
yeah.
in, and it's because and that there were two boys that had moved out, and so that energy totally not conducive
Hmm.
to the sale of the home. And once we made an agreement, and what we had to do was settle down the boy energy in that home and then um, make the girl understand and feel better about herself because there
Right.
was a it was a clicky thing that was happening. It's a very interesting story, but once that got settled, then that energy got to dissipate. You
Mm-hmm.
know, she was like she wasn't like Carrie, but she was the girl that never got to be invited with the rest of the group.
That's rough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
And then quietly angry,
Yes,
plotting.
exactly. Right. So, I mean, but again, not anything super bad, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And so very, very nicely dissipated. But so that's what house healings do or house shift. Um, it helps you be in alignment. It helps you become a better person because you're making an agreement to your space.
Hmm.
And if you're doing it with your family, your family is making an agreement, which is
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah. Corey and I ended up spending some time. So we had a little bit of difficulty in this house. We love our house. We had some difficulty with the roof. We had some different stuff. So I ended up going into the house and really having like a sort of telepathic house communication. And
Yeah.
now we're together. We're in sync and we talk to each
Nice.
other. So it's asked for things. It asks for things. So now there's little rainbow. I made these sun catchers that are in every single window.
Perfect.
And it loves light. So I bought it some little lights for the darker areas so that it could be lit up.
Yeah.
And it's terrified of water. So for the appliances in the home that have water, like the washing machine, I just turn it off and turn it on. I just got one of those like connector switches to turn it
Mhm.
off when it's not in use. So it's trusting us and like it's like, okay, they're listening and like
No, and it's really nice. It's very important, right? Because you could be there for the rest of your lives and it would be such, right? What a great symbiotic relationship.
yeah.
In the day that you decide to move, the if you decide to move, what will happen is that there will be an easing of the separation,
Yeah, just
right?
because then it feels listened to and also just like having that love. I think that's something that's maybe people don't realize or recognize or really tap into is that absolutely everything holds energy and everything has something to say if we are willing to get quiet and listen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's your house. It's the energy in your house. What I do, a lot of people don't do, is I actually do you remember that we actually touch the bones of the house. So you're actually touching the walls, infusing
Hmm.
the walls with your energy because the energy, of course, stays in the walls,
Hmm.
right? Um, that's really important. And then there's also ley lines, it depends on where they are, where your house is on the land. So you want to make sure that your land is also in sync with your home.
Hmm.
So, that happens. We didn't have to worry about that with your house, but there have been a couple of houses with the energetic ley lines are a little bit off.
Interesting.
And so, yeah, but it's not unsolvable,
Hmm.
right? It's just that it just needs to be shifted up. So, yeah.
So
There's some
cool.
really cool stuff. Yeah, so much fun. It's so much fun. I'm not saying that people are not interesting, but we all BS ourselves to a certain degree. And so communication and connection can only be so much, right? I let you in as much as I feel comfortable, or I let you in as much as I believe myself to be. So if I'm
Right.
bullshitting myself, right, then you're really not going to get to know me because I don't get to know myself.
Right.
Go to a house, go to an animal, go to a tree, go to a rock. You get no bullshit, right?
Yes.
You get information, and then you get to know yourself a little bit better. That's why, if you see a lot of animal communicators, they're so sensitive. It's easy for them to talk to animals because the energy is much more pure and there's no malice in there, right? It's
Right.
direct communication.
You don't
So
have
when
to excavate the layers to see what's actually like, who are
yeah,
you under there? Yeah.
yeah.
Which is
So
that's why you're on the front lines. You're
yeah,
willing to see past the layers. I'm like, come to me when you really are willing to take a look at yourself. I'm not willing to work with people who aren't willing to look at themselves. There it is.
right, right,
And if you're not going to look at yourself in this lifetime, we have nothing to say to each other. I love you. Like, let's hang out, but like not in that way.
right, right. No, we're gonna chill, and after 90 minutes, yeah, I got stuff to do.
Hmm.
Um, I find it really interesting because everybody does know that there's spirit in them. They could use whatever word that they want. And once it gets touched, right, you're like twang, you kind of like ping it a little bit. There's no going back. There's just no going back. And that's
Yep.
the part I love too.
Yep. And then everything falls away.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And you get to decide how it's going to fall away, right? It could be totally dramatic.
I am a drama queen.
I am too, right? So, that's it's that kind of stuff. But it's
Sometimes,
really
yeah.
awesome.
Oh my gosh, it cracks me up.
Yeah.
Well, one more thing here that is incredibly amazing about Cynthia Varkevisser. Actually, we could just talk forever and ever. You'd have a million things to say because she's extremely interesting. But she also channels the fifth dimension.
Right. Right. It's an energy. Their name is Endura because it's an androgynous energy. In the fifth dimension, the way that it's been explained to me is that there's no time and there's no emotion, right? Emotion is a finite energy. And it's because of this, I'll fight anybody. Fight's not the great word, but I will discuss the point that love is an emotion, and so love is a finite energy. There is an energy of a higher vibration than love, right? And that's what we strive for. Right now, all we have in our word, in our vocabulary is love. And so in a weird way, love is constricting or not constricting, it's finite. But there is a bigger energy than love. Make sense?
It does. There's a lot of energies that don't have words to describe,
Exactly.
but so they aren't described. They're just channeled through and they're an energy.
You get to experience it, right? It's
Yeah.
something you get to experience. So there's this, and bliss is a great word, but bliss also has a like a euphoria to it.
Hmm.
Um, And in the fifth dimension, it's actually I'd say if you're is pretty close, but there's a belonging, there's a oneness. And
Yeah.
right.
You can
And
feel the
so
current between all of us. I am you, you are
exactly.
me, we are one, and then there's this interchangeable, but we're having these separated experiences, but there's a current that you can feel that of the togetherness.
hmm And so that's why when people say love is all there is, and I'm like, well, we can have a conversation around that, right? Anyway, so back to the fifth dimension. The fifth dimension, there's no emotion and it's only information. And so there's that. Um, uh the fifth dimension loves the third dimension because the third dimension is all about conflict,
Mm.
right? We try really hard, but think about a triangle. Triangles are really hard to do a lot of balancing on, and that's what we are in third dimension, right?
Mm.
Emotional, analytical, physical. We have these things. So, um, and so it loves the third dimension because it can clear things away for us to have a higher experience, right?
Mm.
And
Mhm.
when I say higher, it's just a higher frequency, higher vibration.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
it absolutely makes sense. Yes. Well, I want to be respectful of your time. Do we want to drop in and get a message from Enduro Endara?
Yeah, let's do it really quick. I think I have enough time for a message, and then maybe we might have, if you have a question for your listeners, I would love to, or your viewers, I
Mhm.
forgot,
Yeah.
I would love to, make time for that as well.
All
So
right.
let
All
me
right.
see if I can drop in really quick. And what happens is with the fifth dimension, we start with a message for the people who are here in attendance, because that's very specific. And then people would be asking their individual questions for their higher learning.
When Cynthia channels for a group.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
It is important for you to understand that we are of a consciousness that is beyond that of recognition in this current state. It is similar to understanding that you are not here in a house, but you are here in an expanded mansion, meaning there are so many more rooms, so many more spaces, so much more energy to experience than that what we are recognizing at this time. It's important for you to open up one door. One door is all that is needed in order to expand your consciousness. It does not matter which door. It is in the art of expansion that you will learn. Do you understand?
Yes.
Do you have a question?
For the listeners of The Healing Artist, how do they find the door?
It is important for you to understand that in each conflict, there is a door. Please know that there is a resistance. Resistance is where the conflict is. In that conflict, find the door, open the door. Opening the door means questioning what is the conflict. Therein, you will find the energy within you, the question that has not been answered. In the exploring of the answer, for lack of better words, you will then have opened the door. It is in that you will be asking more questions, which will then open up more information for your experience.
So, a willingness to go within.
That is correct.
Is that the answer? Is that the big answer? A willingness to look inside yourself?
That is not, and it is not entirely accurate. It is important for you to understand that as we go inward, there is an expansion outward. So you may go outward and find that the answer is inward. You may look inward and find that the answer is outward, meaning that the information comes from beyond you as well as within you. Do you understand?
Okay, so it's a way to, um, so there isn't a wrong way, but what we're going towards is more expansion.
That is correct. Please understand that in the inner knowing, there is an expansion of awareness in your energetic body. As you look outward, you are in your energetic body expanding, and the answer comes within you. There is a simpatico, for lack of better words. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, I gotta go.
So much love to you, Cynthia. Oh
Thank
my
you so
goodness
much.
gracious. Thank you for throwing that at the end. And
Yeah.
friends, I'm so excited that you got to meet Cynthia Varkevisser. Check out her podcast, which is Mind Power Meets Mystic. We'll have all of that information linked in the show notes. And Cynthia, I wanted to tell you that I love you. God, Universe, Source loves you. And I hope that you have a wonderful day.